okay, for you to try to come up with something.
I'm not coming up with anything because I've got people who will talk to you for me, to tell you. But what I'm saying is, he's bragging. His intent was not only to harm her, but someone else. Had that person been there, they wouldn't be here today.
Imagine killing a young mother of 2 and then taking the moral high horse with the cops about it. This is Emilia Carr. In 2009, her creepy love triangle culminated with murder. But what led her to take Heather Strong's life? And were there warning signs before it all happened? Let's explore these questions and many more in the strange case of Emilia Carr. This is not our first case in Florida, but it might be our first case in Citra, Marion County. Citra is more natural than urban. There isn't much to do around Citra, which might explain why the 3 people in this case decided to add some drama to their lives. Sadly, the drama one day ended with a sudden disappearance.
We're currently looking into the disappearance of your daughter.
Yes.
Okay, have you heard from her?
No, I haven't.
When was the last time you heard from her?
Somewhere about the 10th, 11th, or 12th of February.
Is this unusual for...
Yes, it is. And Heather's birthday is Monday. And if she doesn't call me Monday, I know something's wrong.
Heather Strong was 26 years old and was a hardworking single mom of 2. She was really close to her mother, so when she went AWOL for almost a week, her mom knew something was off. Heather's work colleagues were also fairly quick to ring 911 when she failed to show up to work a few days in a row.
She was a good employee. That's why when she didn't come to work, we all knew something was wrong, because she always showed up for work. She was a single mother raising 2 kids.
Heather's mom reported her daughter missing in mid-February, but the police were still looking for her a month later.
Heather Strong was originally reported missing somewhere around February 15th, 2009. And at this time, it's like March 18th, 2009. So it's about a month, a little over a month later. And as far as we knew, no one had seen her since that time.
Around this time, a detective visited the Iron Skillet restaurant at Reddick Petro Station, where Heather used to work. Speaking to her work colleagues, he found out on the day of her disappearance, Heather complained about a very upsetting call with her estranged husband, Josh Fulcam.
After the phone call, she indicated to other people that she just needed to get away from him.
So the detectives knew they had to talk to Josh. Initially, he appeared friendly, cooperative, and completely in the dark about Heather's whereabouts. Then he gave his opinion. Perhaps she'd run off to her family in Mississippi.
She said she wanted to get the hell out of Dodge. Wanted me to keep the kids, but when she gets it cleared up, she's coming home. And Heather always coming home. She always does, and I've always taken her back, but this time I'm not taking her back.
There were a few problems with what Josh was saying. First, Heather had told her work colleague how she would keep her kids away from Josh. So, yeah, she wouldn't leave them with Josh on the same day she said that. He also claimed he picked Heather up from work on the day of her disappearance. However, the CCTV showed that there was no Heather that day at work. Josh had described what she was wearing and that she had travel bags with her, but that was all bogus.
You know there's video at Petro, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, they got cameras all around it.
Ain't no video
Of what?
of Heather at that Petro on that date. All day, all night.
Josh was knee deep into his own lies minutes into the interrogation. But it was his mention of a strange love triangle that sent the police on the track to Heather. Josh was not in a good place with Heather, and one of the reasons was a second woman, Emilia Carr. When the police invited her to the station for an interview, Emilia was 8 months pregnant with Josh's baby. This was Emilia's 4th baby, with a 4th father. A quick look into her past got the detectives thinking. Emilia was born on August 4th, 1984, the second of 3 sisters. When she was 15, she reported that her father had been sexually abusing her since the age of 4. Eventually, she and one of her sisters were placed in the care of the state. But at just 16, Emilia got married and had her first baby. She would go on to have numerous flings, resulting in babies and an erratic life filled with abusive men and toxic relationships. Sadly, her horrific male model at home set a terrible pattern that she would subconsciously follow throughout her adult life. In 2004, Emilia's father was convicted of attempting to solicit the murders of his family, Emilia, one of her sisters, and their mother, as if he hadn't done enough to harm the family. In an ironic twist, his murder attempt set out yet another horrible example for Emilia. At the time of Heather's disappearance, she had a restraining order against one of her exes and a 2-year probation for the grand theft of exotic birds. In November 2008, just months before Heather's disappearance, she had gotten engaged to Josh Fulgham. But in December of the same year, Josh married Heather instead. Then, as the two started fighting, Josh went back to Emilia.
We knew that Josh had lived with her for a time and then left her and married Heather and then went back to Emilia.
Josh and Heather's relationship was very off and on. They would be great together for a little while, and then they would separate, and she would leave, and she would take the kids, and then they would get back together for a little while, and then something would go wrong again, and it was just not a healthy relationship at all.
And Emilia would be there to pick up the pieces. The detectives knew all this when they started her interrogation in March 2009. Knowing her difficult past and animosity with Heather, they looked at her with suspicious eyes. However, she chose her words carefully.
Hey.
Hey,
Tired?
exhausted. About my bedtime.
I'm trying to make this quick as possible, okay? I appreciate you coming up here.
You look tired too.
Very tired. Appreciate you coming up here. Understand, you're not pressured to be here. Tell me the relationship between you, Josh, and Heather.
They split up. Me and him tried a relationship. And then in December, he wanted to work things out for his kids' sake, and we parted ways. And we just agreed that when she came along, we'd have some kind of civil relationship, and it's hard when you got 5 kids between different people.
Indeed, the love triangle was a tad more complicated. Heather had 2 kids, and Emilia had 3, and sometimes they would raise the 5 of them together, even if they hated each other. With Josh in the middle, neither of the women seemed to fully let go, and on many occasions, they were one big, unhappy family.
Explain the relationship between you and her.
There wasn't really ever one. Excuse me. We had a little bit of contact over the 4 months because she would, when she felt up to it, allow him to see his kids. So we had some kind of contact, but I usually got the, I'm gonna kill you.
Well, that's interesting. Later on, the same Emilia would claim that they were good friends.
Me and Heather had a lot of similarities in our past. Just a lot of things growing up. We had a lot of similar passions. She wanted to be a teacher. You know, I became a massage therapist. We got along really well.
The detectives noticed that Emilia only gave them bits of information and was careful about how she conveyed the story of the love triangle.
Emilia was a thinker. She was more calculating in everything that she said. She was aware that what she say may come back to bite her.
Oh, I'm hoping you guys find her. I mean...
Well, we're gonna find her with your help.
Just before the interrogations, the police had also traced Heather's credit card to a store. CCTV footage showed a man using her card.
A man come up, and he comes up and he uses the card, and obviously I can see from the printout of the ATM that he uses Heather's card.
Lo and behold, it was Josh Fulgham. When they confronted him about it, he said that Heather had left the card with him before leaving for Mississippi.
So why didn't she take that with her? I can understand her leaving the other.
Because, see, she gets paid every 2 weeks. And what she told me was to take that. Just give me half. You keep the other half, there'll be $70 on there.
Yeah. She told me you used it and nothing was on.
Yeah, I went to, and it wouldn't let me.
If that's not suspicious, I don't know what is. Well, there was another thing. A typed letter Josh handed the cops, claiming it was typed by Heather, agreeing to give him full custody of her children. The investigators figured if he had the kids, he didn't have to pay child support. Detective went right in for the kill with this fake paper.
Okay, did you threaten her to sign her name?
Man, come on now. This kid's not going too far.
Huh?
No, I did not.
You wanted them kids. You didn't want her to have them.
No, I'm going to be honest with you, man.
You
I'm
didn't want her to. You didn't want her. She was sitting up there telling you. She was telling you. She was going. You weren't gonna never see them kids.
No, she was not.
Mm-hmm.
No, she wasn't.
Everyone who knew Heather confirmed she never left her kids behind, especially with Josh, who had a history of being abusive. In January 2009, a month after getting married to her, Josh threatened Heather with a shotgun. He was arrested and spent a month in jail for it. As soon as he got out, Heather disappeared. This is their last recorded call. Josh calling from jail to convince Heather to drop her charges against him.
You're not gonna do that, Josh. You're gonna kill me when you get out of jail.
And 8 days after Heather had signed the paper, she went missing.
Many signs were pointing at Josh, but just as many were pointing at Emilia for a simple reason.
If it's out of anger, that's fine. I understand. I'd be pissed off at it too, because I like this man, and this man constantly goes back to this girl that ain't shit.
So did Josh kill Heather for having him arrested and trying to keep his kids away from him? Or did Emilia kill her to get out of the way and have Josh to herself? The sad truth?
You don't care nothing about her, do you?
I do, but not like I do Heather.
Then, during a cigarette break, Josh said Emilia took care of Heather.
I'm telling you that he said that you told him that you guys took care of Heather and for him not to worry about her anymore.
Who's you guys?
You.
The investigators pressed Josh about his claims that Emilia was the only one involved in Heather's murder.
You telling me she never asked you, if she was going to do it, she never asked you what was the best way to do it? She never asked you where's the best place to
Man,
finish?
I ain't no murderer, man. I don't know what the best way to kill people and get rid of them and shit.
Here's how the police got Josh to take them to Heather's body.
Take her to jail.
That's where you want to go, my man.
That ain't where I want to go, man. I got no choice.
Yeah, you got all the choice, brother.
I don't know what else to do.
What else you got in your pockets, bro?
Wow. You let me take that by my mama if I take you to it? We'll go right now.
You take me to where Heather is, I'll take your wallet to your mama.
On March 19th, Heather's body was found in a shallow grave next to a storage trailer belonging to Emilia's mother. Heather's killer had tried to break her neck, failed, and then put a plastic bag over her head and let her tied up to a chair. It was a gruesome, twistless death. Emilia had gone home, but was arrested again. Suddenly, she seemed to remember Josh was the culprit.
He drug strangled her, whatever. He told me was what I was told.
Why didn't you tell me all this in the beginning?
Because I didn't put two and two. I thought he was full of crap.
Right. During their trials, Josh and Emilia pointed at each other as Heather's killer. But the police knew two things. Josh had taken them to her body, and the body was on Emilia's property. Then, pressed again in the interrogation room, Emilia claimed she'd actually seen Heather's body and that Josh said he brought her there in a panic.
So now there's a whole new story. Now there's more. So when we sat across the hall and you shed tears and you swore to me that was it, you were lying again.
Her dishonesty surely didn't help her case. Neither did the fact that she once offered $500 to a friend to kill Heather. Remember her dad's murder attempt? Luckily, the friend declined her offer, but soon after, Emilia took matters into her own hands, quite literally. Prosecutor Rock Hooker asked for the death penalty.
I just simply believe there are times when people do things that are so heinous, so calculated, that we have an obligation to say, you have forfeited your right to live among us.
And this is what 25-year-old Emilia got for the first-degree murder and kidnapping of Heather. She became Florida's youngest female death row convict. Josh got a life sentence without the possibility of parole. From prison, he confessed to being at the scene when Emilia killed Heather.
And I heard her make like a gurgling noise in her throat or something. And I pulled her down on the floor. I done it, Mama. I didn't do it by myself, but I done it.
It wasn't a question of Josh or Emilia. Their two motives combined into a stomach-turning plan. But over a decade later, Emilia still claims she's innocent.
Everyone in prison will tell you they're innocent. Either they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, they were framed, or they had a confession beat of them by law enforcement. I'm actually one of those people. I am sitting on death row for nothing more than a series of lies, while the person who actually committed the crime got a life sentence.
Opinions as to Emilia's innocence are very divided.
She was very good at manipulating people. She was very conniving.
She was an innocent that was manipulated by law enforcement into giving a false confession.
She's, I think, truly what you would call a sociopath.
Yeah, she's definitely not innocent. Here's a recorded conversation between her and Josh's sister.
You put the bag over her head. We tried to s*** her neck, that didn't work. You did?
It's particularly heartbreaking when a murderer won't own up to their mistake. Will Heather's family ever get closure when Emilia still paints herself as the victim?
She still points to blame at someone else. I personally don't understand why.
Well, at the very least, she and Josh will never walk free again. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment and remember to like and subscribe. On to next time.